Forum for Menomonee Falls School District. I am Kay Vance, your forum sponsor, forum moderator. I'm the moderator, not the sponsor. I am joined by the other volunteers from the League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County and from the forum sponsor, Engaged Citizens of Menomonee Falls. Also, we have two students helping us, Claire and Henry, who will help us run the forum and are going to do the important job of keeping time for all of the candidates to follow during this forum. The League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County is a nonpartisan, nonprofit grassroots organization that promotes informed and active participation in government. As a nonpartisan group, the League never endorses a political party or a candidate. A healthy democracy relies on engaged citizens, and we have a lot of them here. So we thank you for taking the time to learn about the candidates. The spring election will be held April 7th. You may request absentee ballots for all or specific 2026 elections online at myvote.wi.gov. The election dates are August 11th, November 3rd, and then of course the one coming up, April 7th. We have information about voter registration, photo ID requirements, and the League of Women Voters at the table near the entrance. Information on voting and elections can be found at the state-run website, myvote.wi.gov. Please visit vote411.org, which is run by the National League of Women Voters with help from hundreds of local leagues. Vote 411 website has election information as well as candidates Q&A where their responses are printed verbatim. We also welcome you to join the League of Women Voters, who despite its name, welcomes all. The League was formed in 1920 after the ratification of the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote. The League was formed to educate women on voting and public policy matters. Our mission is unchanged, but we keep the name to honor our founders, and now our efforts are directed at all citizens. Questions for today's forum were submitted online over the past several days. If you have a question, you can write it on a card being distributed and pass it to one of the volunteers. Questions cannot be directed to one candidate. Every question will go to all candidates, and we will focus on questions relevant to the elected office. Our question sorters will be marking duplicate questions, which are very common, sorting by category, and may write on the cards to combine some questions or to reword for brevity or just to improve legibility. We ask that audience refrain from cheering or other demonstrations in support of or against any candidate. Please also refrain from any distracting activities, including the use of any electronic devices. This forum is being live streamed in its entirety and available for viewing on Falls Cable Access TV and its YouTube channel. 6 candidates are vying for 3 seats on the school board. They are Nicole Barker, Jefferson Davis, Becky Derleen, Emily Kent Schlemme, okay, Steve Taylor, and Joel Wopert. The candidates will be addressed by first names. They have chosen that option. And each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to every question. The candidates drew numbers to determine the order of speaking. The order of first response to a question will rotate among the candidates. Our timers are right here, and they will let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining and when you must stop. With the audience and candidates honoring the guidelines for the forum, we will make the best use of the forum opportunity. And if you must stop, you can finish your sentence or your thought, but please follow the timers. So we will begin with 90-second opening statements, and Dr. Joel will go first.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for the League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County. Joel Wopert. I'm not going to talk about who I am, but what we've done in the last couple of years on the school board, because I think that's very important. State rank when it comes to academic growth. In 23-24, we were 37%, which is 134 out of 367 districts. 24-25, top 10% in the state of Wisconsin. This is district-wide, which is 36 out of 367 districts. Our high school, top 6% in academic growth last year, which means we are 9th out of 361 high schools that report to the district Department of Instruction. Along with that, 95% teacher retention. Our teachers are important. We want longevity. It's good to teach new teachers, have that experience there. It's very important. Lowest mill rate in over 30 years, $6.35 per $1,000 of assessed value. Added safety resource officers to our school, keep our kids safe, keep them protected. When I first joined the district, we had 2, now we have 3. And then we also just added a $10 million building to CE and Rec, no debt, no referendum. That's what we do, and I want to see us continue to do more.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jefferson Davis. I've lived in the Falls for 40 years. Every day I work under the umbrella of estate planning. I help family and business estates when they live, when they pass away, pass it on to the next generation, make sure they never run out of money, make sure healthcare costs and long-term care costs don't bankrupt them, keep them out of probate, keep them out of guardianship procedures, and they never run out of money. I've been doing that for a long time. I'm 67 years old. I have no intention of retiring. Why am I running for school board? It's really simple. There's 3,785 kids in our 6 schools that represent 600 employees, the equivalent of 500 full-time employees. There is a very clear choice in the selection where you want this school district to go. And it comes down to 3 things, and let's cut right to the chase. Leadership with the administration and the school board, curriculum, and then the last thing is, what are we doing to quantify and qualify how to make those 3,785 students ready when they walk across that platform and get that diploma, that they're ready to meet the eyes of the world and they're prepared to do that. So when you put that together and you look at this, there's only one reason why we're running for school board. You must create a neutral, independent, and safe educational environment to build on the historical legacy of the Menomonee Falls educational experience. If I earn your trust and your support and your vote, I'll make sure that happens. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily Kant-Schlimme. I just want to thank everyone for coming out, the League of Women Voters, and everyone online. It's really exciting to see a packed room. That means we have a lot of people passionate about our schools, which I am as well. Just a little bit about me. I have lived in Menomonee Falls since 2020, and I have 2 kids in the district who attend Shady Lane Elementary, a kindergartner and a 2nd grader. And professionally, I bring over 15 years of HR and leadership experience, and I hold a Professional of HR certification. I've led work in recruiting and retention, engagement, policy development, professional development, and a lot of my work has focused on supporting people, developing leaders, and building strong and collaborative teams. That experience has really taught me the importance of listening early, bringing people to the table, and making thoughtful decisions that people trust. I also co-lead a troop of 2nd grade girls in the community and volunteer at various PTO events with Little League and other items. And so altogether, these experiences as a parent, HR professional, and volunteer have given me the broad view and connecting with others in the community from the campaign, different events of different needs and strengths in our community. And I'm ready to get to work and hope to earn your vote.
Hi, I'm Becky Durline. I have been a resident in Menomonee Falls since 2013. And then in 2017, when my husband and I decided to purchase our home and make a more permanent fit, we decided to choose Menomonee Falls again for its wonderful schools and the amazing community that we found here. I have my bachelor's degree in mathematics and secondary education. I am a current teacher, and I've been teaching for 13 years now, all in southeastern Wisconsin public schools. I have a daughter who attends Shady Lane Elementary in the preschool program, which is a program that is through the CE and Rec and partners with the school district. And then she will be attending 4K at Shady Lane next year as well. I also have my master's degree in educational leadership. So that is a certification in educational leadership and curriculum development. So I bring the perspective of the day-to-day classroom experience that I am experiencing every day, the perspective of a parent, and the perspective of an educational leader as well. I want to ensure that all families, staff, students really do feel that we are a school district of choice and making balanced decisions that support our students every day.
Hi, I'm Nicole Barker. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. I'm running for school board to bring a clinical evidence-based approach to our district's journey to quality. I believe that effective governance requires more than just good intentions. It requires a professional, data-driven approach to complex problems. For 21 years, I've dedicated my life and career to being a nurse. With the last decade, I've focused specifically on behavioral health and substance abuse. In my field, I don't have the luxury of being vague. I look at the data, I triage the most critical needs, and I work with a collaborative team to ensure the best possible patient outcomes. I'm also proud to serve as your Menomonee Falls Public Library Board President. In that role, I chair the Policy Committee and serve on the Finance Committee, where I'm currently overseeing a multi-million-dollar budget and our 2026 first floor renovation project, which is going to be starting soon. I understand the weight of public stewardship. I know how to audit a balance sheet. I know how to navigate the complex policy reviews, and I know how to work with village leadership to get things done. I'm running on a platform of fiscal truth and targeted support. First, fiscal responsibility. We must ensure that our taxpayer dollars are reaching the classroom to close the 75.5% math growth gap we are currently seeing.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. My name is Steve Taylor. I was born here in the Falls, and I attended our public schools, kindergarten through 12th grade. I graduated in 1992 and used the strong foundation I received here to earn a degree in the sciences and go on to a career in healthcare sales and training. I've lived elsewhere, but I returned and built my own business here as a tax professional. I enjoy working with people from all walks of life, helping them understand complex information and make informed decisions. Over the last several years, I've heard more and more from longtime residents and young families who moved here about concerns with the direction of our school's leadership. They want clear information, honest answers, and to feel that someone is actually listening. Too often, that hasn't been their experience. And when communication breaks down, community trust starts to break down. I step forward to run because I want to help make the Falls the best public schools they can be. I know we can all be proud of our schools when the focus stays on students, decisions are explained clearly, and the community feels informed and part of the process. That's the kind of approach I'm committed to bring here to the board.
Thank you. Now we will ask questions submitted by constituents. We will begin with Jefferson, and the first question is, if budget cuts are necessary during your term, what programs or subjects would you prioritize for protection from these cuts?
Well, there are no budget cuts that are necessary. We spend $59 million a year to take care of the 3,785 students administered by our administration, the school board, and the 6 schools, and the 500 full-time equivalent of employees. As a matter of fact, not only is there no need for budget cuts, we have had balanced budgets 3 years in a row, and next year we're projected to have another balanced budget. We've had the lowest tax mill rate in 32 years at $6.35 per assessed value. As a matter of fact, my wife and my property taxes from in the last 15 years used to be $2,000 to support the schools. Now it's down to less than $1,500. And we have heard in this community year after year after year after year that you cannot cut money because the kids will suffer. Just the opposite is true. When you look at AP at the high school, when you look at number 9 out of 361, when you look at Valley View and you look at all those schools and how their test scores, we are exceeding the state average at every single level. And so there are no needs for budget cuts. That's dog whispering. And with the administration that we have and the school board that we have, we will be just fine, and I will be happy to be part of that school board to do that.
Okay. Becky? Emily.
Okay.
Sorry, Emily.
Yeah, I actually, there was a personal finance meeting yesterday, and I had the chance to review the report that they just put out, like within the last 24 hours on the Board Docs website. And while we have had balanced budgets due to a lot of different state funding shortfalls from special education, we were anticipating 42%, got 35%, and then the state removing the personal property aid, we had a $1.5 million shortfall. We, though, as a district, were able to work and scale back that district office. But I do think long-term planning is really key. In this report, they are anticipating our district to project a multi-million-dollar budget shortfall over the next 5 years. So unfortunately, if the state funding doesn't match, we are going to have some tough choices as a district of what to do. And I think, we have to be looking at our budget really concisely. What dollars are directly going to our student learning and getting toward our goals that we have as a district? No one wants to cut anything in a budget, especially when we're talking about kids' educations. So I think, too, listening to the community of what are the most important things, what faces student outcomes, and really use that focus to have a balanced budget.
Becky?
School funding is definitely an important topic for us to be talking about right now because all districts in the state of Wisconsin are facing these budget concerns. The state budget, as Emily said, was projected to be a percentage of reimbursement, and months later the state came out and gave us a budget reimbursement that was much, much less, and leaving our district with money to make up in the budget somewhere. And due to our projects that we have going on right now, our district was able to find that money. But if this continues on in the state, we are going to run into a time where we're not able to find those funds. So one of the things that I am prioritizing is advocating for fair funding from the state. We need to make sure that we are talking to our state officials and advocating for that fair funding for us and for all of the students in the state of Wisconsin. If we do run into that budget situation where we have to make some tough choices, using a data-driven approach is what I find to be best practice. Determining through data analysis which programs are affecting our students in the biggest way and which programs are pushing us forward and prioritizing those first. So putting students at the forefront of every decision that we make.
I would advocate for a policy of continuous improvement where we would regularly audit underutilized programs to ensure that funds are redirected towards classroom instruction and special education, because special education currently, as everybody has just said, faces a significant funding gap. And I would do that over any administrative expansion to ensure that money is that's entrusted to us is actually reaching the students who need it the most. My approach would be to prioritize student-facing expenditures. On the Library Finance Committee, I view every dollar as a trust from the taxpayers. And while the state funding environment is challenging, we can remain solvent by maintaining a healthy fund balance and seeking strategic partnerships, such as the district's recent collaborations with the village to share infrastructure costs. We must ensure that the 56% of our budget funded by the local taxpayers is being directed towards student achievement and not administrative bloats.
Steve?
I understand the concern. And one thing that's really important for everyone here to understand is how school funding works in Wisconsin. School boards don't actually have the authority to just raise taxes to solve a budget problem. The state sets what's called a revenue limit, which caps how much a district can collect from a combination of state aid and local property taxes. Our budgets are stable in the near term, and I want to acknowledge that. But there are real pressures underneath that we need to be honest about. One of the biggest is special education funding. The state does not fully reimburse districts for the cost of providing those services. In fact, reimbursement has fallen to historically low levels. What that means in practice is that districts are required to provide services, which we should, but when the state doesn't cover the full cost, the difference has to come out of the general operating budget. And the district's audit points that out. Millions of dollars are being shifted from the general education fund to cover special education costs. My approach is to make sure that we're explaining decisions clearly, using data responsibly, and building trust every step of the way so that people aren't surprised when tough decisions come up.
Joel?
All right. It's no mystery that years of underinflationary funding from the state of Wisconsin has caused issues, not just for our school district, but for many school districts. The funding they've given us hasn't kept up with inflation, which has caused numerous needs for the problems for many schools. As our buildings age, expenses come, roofs, elevators, all these projects. I support investing in high quality instruction and prioritizing that. Also early intervention and strong support for our teachers. Using the real data to focus where we need to put our resources. This includes aligning our spending with actual needs of the school. Reducing inefficiencies, and we have done this in our school district recently, where we have eliminated administration positions so we could focus on getting teachers in front of students. As we go through these next couple of years, yes, tough decisions will have to be made. There's no doubt about it. And that's where we need to think outside the box, think critically, and use that data to make really good informed decisions. And like I say, I will always prioritize student education first.
Okay. Question number 2, we will start with Emily. What ideas do you have to improve teacher morale and retention in our district?
Yeah, teacher retention and morale is key. One of our aims in our district is to be a district of choice, and that's not just for families and students, but it's for teachers as well. I get to do a lot with this in my job and focusing on retention and morale, and usually when it dips, it's because people don't feel heard. And so I think it's really important that we respect the expertise of our teachers, and I think it's important that they're brought to the table when decisions are impacting their work. Let's say we're doing a policy, and maybe we're doing a policy because we want to amplify parental involvement or something that parents care about. We have to look at what does that policy look like in the classroom. Do teachers, administrators need training to make it impactful? What additional resources need to be added to teachers, for teachers, to reduce that burden? And I think we also need to make sure that we have all the building blocks in place for teachers. Do we have all the appropriate approved curriculum? And I think one important thing is to bring back the engagement survey. I understand the teachers used to have an engagement survey and it went away. That's a really great way to get anonymous feedback from teachers so they can be honest, and being able to listen to that feedback to then look at what can we do in either professional development, classroom resources to support our teachers.
Becky?
I think the best way for us to improve teacher retention and morale is to treat them as the professionals that they are. Teachers are educated individuals who are spending their life dedicating to the work of working with students and taking care of our students every single day. These are trained professionals who have spent a long time studying the psychology and the curriculum that they're giving out. These are professionals who really have expertise in the things that they're teaching, and we need to be able to trust them and make sure that they feel trusted to make those decisions. So when it comes to things like curriculum, teachers need to be at the forefront of those decisions. They are the ones trained in understanding what is best practice. Teachers have continuous improvement all the time and continuous learning, so they know what is best practice in education, and they know what is appropriate for different ages of students. So hearing those voices is how we can show teachers that we trust them and that they are valued in our district. So anytime that decisions are made about curriculum or other student-centered decisions, teachers need to be at the forefront of those decisions as well.
Nicole?
I would say that my goal, if I am elected, would be to move away from the year-to-year CPI adjustments and toward a more permanent, transparent, and sustainable structure that rewards loyalty. People quit bad bosses, and teaching is obviously no exception to that. So making sure that administrators are properly trained and that they're continuing professional development every year. Coaching should be organized, deliberate, and ongoing. We should also recruit teachers who demonstrate a commitment to traditional educational practices such as explicit phonics instruction in early grade reading classes, high expectations for student behavior, because these practices tend to boost student achievements. And when the students are doing better, usually the classroom is better managed, which also would help to boost teacher morale. Also, making sure that the teachers are heard and that they have a voice at the table, because they are the heart of our schools, and we need to acknowledge that.
Steve?
One issue that's been brought to my attention is how we determine teacher salaries. In the past, we've relied on broad salary bands. The challenge with that approach is that it can be applied inconsistently, especially when we need new hires, and over time it leads to salary compression, where experienced teachers aren't meaningfully differentiated from newer ones. That creates problems. Teachers don't have a clear, predictable understanding of what they'll earn as they grow in our district, and when that happens, the easiest way to get what feels like fair pay is to leave. And as formal bargaining has reemerged here in just the last few years, I think it's more important that we get this right and build something sustainable. Moving toward a more precise salary schedule isn't about across-the-board increases, it's about consistency and fairness. Teachers should be able to see that we trust their experience and skills and value them in a clear, reliable way. When we retain strong, experienced teachers, students benefit from continuity, stronger relationships, and better outcomes. If we want Menomonee Falls to be a destination district for both families and educators, we need a system that attracts great teachers and gives them a reason to stay.
Okay. Joel?
All right, along with compensation, there's some other reasons why teachers leave districts. So compensation, absolutely one, especially with younger teachers. Workload, burnout. Our class size is too high. This is things we have to look at and really evaluate. What's the workload for these teachers? Lack of advancement. Do teachers feel that they're stuck where they're at? Leadership quality at administration level and the building level. Do they feel valued? Student behavior challenges and lack of professional respect. So these are reasons why teachers leave school districts or leave the profession. That's stuff we all need to be conscious of and work on, right? And it's important that we keep our teachers as long as we can. Retention at the school district of Menomonee Falls the last couple of years has been 95%. That's a good number. Our aim is 90%. Turnover is expensive for school districts, often costing $10,000 to $25,000 per teacher. That's additional money that we have to pay out to replace teachers. Just doesn't make sense. Also, with experienced teachers, they can mentor new staff, lead departments, anchor school culture. It's important that we take care of our teachers.
Jefferson?
Thank you. So the role of the school board is to support the administrators and the teaching staff and the support staff. I have in front of me the salary schedule for the Menomonee Falls School District. This is from a year ago. In this salary schedule, everything that you've heard up here that hasn't been addressed is addressed in this salary schedule. The compression issue, the teacher pay gap, the compression schedule, as I said, it's all right here. I also have the benefits for the average employee for the school district. For less than a cup of coffee a day, you can have the most comprehensive international health care plan anywhere in the world right here with the Menomonee Falls School District. The miracle of Menomonee Falls that I call is freeing up millions and millions and millions of dollars out of the $59 million to address what you've heard up here, to respect and show our courtesy of the profession of being a teacher. You can look at it, and the current administrator and the majority of the current school board are doing that. The third thing we can do to show respect to teachers is support them with the curriculum. It's all right here. The fourth thing that we can do is the student-teacher ratios, which are acceptable anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. And then the last thing is this. The teachers are getting, you can shake your heads, but it's right here. And either the facts, the truth, and the data are the facts and the truth and the data, or they're not. And the manifestation of that is that these teachers and these students are doing an amazing job, and that will continue if I get on the school board.
Okay. The third question we'll start with.
Excuse me. I thought one of the rules according to this contract was that there wouldn't be outbursts.
What I'm just going to do is try to move along and ask that there not be anything that interrupts the flow of the forum. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's just common courtesy.
I would like to also say, if any of you need me to repeat a question, just tell me, and I will do that. The third question goes to Becky first, and it's many educators report that there is an unfulfilled need for mental health services for students. What can the school board do to address this?
Mental health supports are such an important topic to be talking about right now. I think now more than ever, students need mental health supports, and as a district, we can support them in a very data-driven way. As someone who has worked in schools for a long time, we have systems in place on how to track data, student achievement data, to understand when students are falling behind academically. And there are red flags that come up. But things like that can be done for mental health supports as well. So taking a data-driven approach to understand where those red flags are and to be able to identify students and give them supports before they are having a mental health crisis. So using a data-driven approach to be able to look for red flags, to be able to offer support before they are in crisis is going to be something that is so important for the health of our students, because students cannot begin to learn, cannot begin to grow if they are not feeling safe, and that includes feeling safe within themselves as well. So being able to track and put in a multi-tiered system of support to identify these students that need those mental health supports and be proactive about it is going to be something that will help our students to maintain that feeling of safety and security that they can then come to school to learn.
Nicole?
So the board's role is to ensure that mental health is treated as a critical component of student readiness. Because if a student's in crisis, they can't learn. Professionally, this means that we must support what I call a triage model, where our school counselors and psychologists should be equipped to identify needs and provide immediate support while we maintain partnerships in the community for long-term care. Our schools are essentially an early warning system, but they're not hospitals. And we must empower our staff to identify needs early, and then crucially, to partner with parents to bridge that child to the appropriate professional care. We must ensure that our policies prioritize a safe, stable environment that reduces the stigma of seeking help, while always keeping parents at the center of any health-related decisions for their children. in the past 10 years that I've worked in behavioral health, I've learned that schools are often the front line, but they shouldn't be the only line. I would advocate for targeted, evidence-based supports. We must support our counselors in identifying clinical needs early, but we must make sure that parents are the primary partners in any interventions. Transparency with families isn't just a right, it's clinical best practice for a child's recovery and growth.
Okay, Steve?
Teachers have told me as well about their concerns with student mental health. And I think that topic also dovetails with student safety. And I want to talk a little bit and recognize our leadership for already having done good work with safety. They've installed cameras in key areas, and they build strong coordination with our police department. We have incident management systems, video networks, and 3 trusted school resource officers. They help monitor and direct responses when something happens, and they're not just there for emergencies. They build relationships with students every day, and those relationships help prevent problems before they start. I want to make sure that we keep that focus on prevention. That means supporting teachers, counselors, and staff in identifying concerns early and having clear systems that connect students with the right help before small issues escalate. Because safety isn't just about discipline or response, it's about whether students feel supported and ready to learn. And as leaders, we need to make sure every student feels like they belong. I'm not here to decide which families are normal and which are alternative. I'm here to serve every family in Menomonee Falls and make sure that every student feels safe, valued, and respected.
Joel?
All right, student board members play an important role when it comes to students with special needs and disabilities. We have to make sure, do our due diligence to make sure that we are complying, with federal laws, state special education laws, ADA compliance. So it's not just the IEPs, it's also the 504s, which is students with physical needs as well. This includes timely evaluations, making sure that we are meeting the needs as early as we can. It's very important that we start that process. We've done a great job as a school district by putting people in places that oversee special needs in 504s, IEPs, that we are doing them and that we're properly developing these IEPs, working with the families, working with the specialists, working with special ed teachers, making sure we're doing that. Also making sure that we make sure that the families feel safe, that their kid can go to school and feel safe. As a board member, we have to make sure that we prioritize budget for special needs. We see the state of Wisconsin cutting that funding for special needs, but it is very important. And special needs is very resource intensive. We need to make sure that we prioritize that and keep that a focus. And we also make sure that the kids have the technology and the accommodations that they need so that they can be successful in school.
Thank you, Jefferson.
Thank you, Joel. So I would like all of us to imagine if you have a son or a daughter that is being challenged with this. If we can just pause for a few seconds and think about that personally. And if you have someone that fits into that category, then you know why this question was asked. In the Menomonee Falls School District, I have learned through the superintendent, through the school board, through attending meetings, through watching it on Falls Cable Access, from visiting the website, from getting the monthly newsletter, that this current administrator and school board and staff take this very, very seriously. This is a sensitive and personal, confidential situation. We have no idea how many of the 3,785 students are challenged by mental health. What we do know is there's a baseline in this school district. And if a student and a mom and dad need more help, this school district, this administrator, this majority of the school board will get them that help. And they will be protected, and they will be affirmed, and they will be accepted and approved like all of us are. And they will never, ever be made fun of, bullied, or anything like that at all. We can talk about resources, we can talk about money, but it's that boy or girl that needs our support, and we will give them that.
Thank you. Emily?
Yeah, to echo what everyone has said, mental health is so important, and I think obviously a key thing first is, do we have the resources? Are our school counselors stretched thin? And our teachers feel that they have the training they need to help students, because they're on the front lines there. I know our schools have the Safe Schools training through our bullying policy. I've had the opportunity myself through Girl Scouts to have mental health first aid, and some of the key things is having that connection with someone to know when something's off, because mental health can really go hidden. And so I think having those strong relationships with teachers, but also having that partnership with parents. It's really important that, do we need to provide additional resources to parents so we can all be on the same team to make sure that kids can be safe? And I think a big part of that too is, how are we keeping kids safe in school, feeling like they want to come to school, feeling that they belong, and what are other things that we can teach to other students to make sure everyone is welcome and feel that they belong in our school district, so that they are ready to learn.
Okay, question number 4 is a long one, and it's going to start with Nicole, and I'm going to read it, and you might be asking me to repeat this one. So, in the event of ICE entering our school district's campuses, how would you want our district to handle that situation? Would ICE be given free access to our children? Would the agents be required to undergo background checks first? So that goes to Nicole first.
Well, number one, there's federal laws against ICE coming into any school. So we'd have to follow federal law with that. Second, they already undergo a background check that is extremely thorough when they sign on to be part of federal law enforcement. I know, because I've had to undergo that background check before. I've worked for the VA, which undergoes a federal law enforcement check. And it's extremely extraneous. They go back very long into your history. So the officers that are part of ICE have already undergone a bunch of background checks, and they can't come into the schools, so it's a non-issue.
Steve?
Thank you. I've heard that concern at some of the meet and greets I've been to in people's homes, and it's certainly a very timely issue and a very contentious one. My first thought is that any kind of immigration enforcement maybe isn't the best thing to be carrying out in our schools when we want everyone to be here and everyone to feel safe here. I would think that if they need to do any work that would have to be at the schools, that they could work with our school resource officers. Now, like Nicole says, they're already barred from entering the schools. I understand that there is a policy in place already that Superintendent Menomonee circulated last year that says that. So my concern is just that people feel safe in schools and welcome to be here without any kind of threat to their person or their ability to learn.
Joel?
Yeah, I'm going to echo a little bit of what Nicole and Steve said. Federally, they're prohibited accessing schools. Nicole stated it. ICE agents are background checked. I work for Washington County. I work with criminal justice information, CJIS data. I know the background check I had to go through. I know the background check my employees have to go through. I know the background check that all people who work in law enforcement have to go back through. It's a very intensive background check. Once again, I don't think this is an issue, as federally they're not allowed to. Mr. Munoz made this statement and to address this, and I don't think it's an issue.
Jefferson?
Without biting into my 90 seconds, could I ask you to repeat the question?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Without biting into your 90 seconds. In the event of ICE entering our school district's campuses, how would you want our district to handle that situation? Would ICE be given free access to our children? Would the agents be required to undergo background checks first?
Thank you. So the 3-part of your question is irrelevant because it's not going to happen. But I think the bigger question should be this. This community and all over America the estimates are somewhere between 20 and 25 million people are in this country illegally. And the bigger concern would be, why would you want someone in the country illegally taking a seat at a desk that can't speak the American language, that has all of these things that would impede upon our 3,785 students? Excuse me. You know what? This is unacceptable. We were told in the contract that we had to sign,
Mr. Davis, just a
that this
second.
would not be
Mr.
allowed at this
Davis,
forum.
Well, it's not allowed from either any of the.
Well, we're hearing
any
it
of
all the
board-
time.
It's not allowed from the board.
And I'm honored by that.
It's not allowed from the board candidates. It's not allowed from the people in the audience. Everybody should be respectful of what each other is saying.
Thank you. Thank you. So the bigger question is, why would we allow that to happen? And I think Mr. Munoz in the current school board has addressed that, and going forward, that will be the policy.
Emily?
So, well, I hope we never have something where ICE agents are coming, not necessarily in our school, but near our schools. I do have family who live in Minnesota who are in suburban districts just like ours who had to put some plans in place. And I think one of the best ways to keep our kids safe is to have a plan, like we do for fire drills, like we do for active shooter. God forbid, we don't want that to happen, but we have to be prepared. One thing I've also seen in my work with HR, whether it be with ICE or, if OSHA comes, there's a process to have in place, and it's important to have everyone trained. When things happen that you don't expect, everyone, your body gets that fight or flight response, so it's important that we have a proactive plan of how do we handle if, well, they won't come into schools, will ICE be on corners that we have to worry about? And how are our administrators, our site leaders, do teachers feel prepared to be able to well handle that? I think that's really important. It can impact pick up and drop off and things of that nature. And so when we are thinking about safety, whether it be this issue or another one, how do we have proactive plans in place so we're prepared if there are unexpected events that happen?
Okay. Becky?
As many of the other candidates have already stated, there are statewide policies, and our district even has come up with a statement as well about allowing ICE agents on campus. But I do think that educating our teachers and educating our families about what those processes and policies are is going to be very important. It's a scary time for students and for some families, and some people are worried. And we need to make sure that they understand all of the policies, they understand exactly what's going to happen and what they can expect while their student is in school. Teachers need to be educated as well on what to do if something like that were to occur. And if we're not talking about it, if we're not being transparent and accessible with our language, then when something does happen, we are not going to be prepared. People feel more settled, people feel more at ease if they are more informed. So we need to make sure that we are informing families of what those policies are, especially now when this is such a relevant topic in our country right now. So making sure that we are communicating all of those things with our families, with our teachers, and keeping everyone safe.
Okay, thank you. The next question begins with Steve. And how will you address bullying and ensure that every student feels safe and respected in our schools?
Great question. Another common concern that I've heard raised. And as a board member, what I'll be doing is working with administration and relying on them for them to tell me what teachers are telling them about how student behavior is, how students are treated, and what the climate is like. Safety, again, is a key concern. And not only do we want to prevent any major issues from happening, any violence, but we also want kids to feel comfortable here. We want everyone to feel that they belong, that they don't have to be defensive about who they are or what they look like, and that they belong here. My approach is to make sure that our curriculum reflects what teachers find is successful, that our supplemental materials are here for every family, and that at no point do we even subtly make any kind of judgments about which families are normal and which ones may not be. We don't want kids to feel defensive about their parents, their progress in school, or anything like that. So I want to put students first by making sure that that issue gets examined all the time.
Joel?
Yeah, I think our high school is a good example of what we are doing to attack this issue of bullying. And bullying is not acceptable. We all know that. It goes without saying. Our high school, and actually all of our schools, have means for students to anonymously report bullying. And students can feel free to fill out an anonymous form. They don't even have to give their name. To it, fill it out, give it to administration, and it does get taken care of. I've had extensive conversations with Mr. Gebauer about this, and it is a very, very important subject. I mean, students should be able to go to school without having to worry about if they're going to get picked on. They need to be able to focus on their education, and how can they do that in a stressful environment? It's just hard. I think our school does a really good job. There's many means for students to reach out and talk to our guidance counselors, our assistant principals, and get their needs met. So kudos to our schools for already doing that, and I commend them and want them to keep seeing that going.
Jefferson?
Thank you. So when Mr. Munoz got here, there were some issues in this area. He immediately put a team together to address that. Bullying, intimidating, threatening is not acceptable in the Menomonee Falls School District. I had the privilege with Mr. Munoz to tour all 6 schools. I met all 6 principals. I met a lot of their support staff. Here's what that looks like in the Menomonee Falls School District. Nicole and I have sat in many committee meetings, and this was one of the subjects. On the Menomonee Falls School District website, in handout materials, on Falls Cable Access, on the monthly newsletter, this matter is being addressed in real time every day, all day long. Is it an issue? Yes, in the context that it happens, but how do you quantify that here in Menomonee Falls? I can get the data. The administrator at each of those 6 schools, his staff, the school board, and Mr. Munoz have addressed this. It's being monitored in real time, and it will continue to be. And we will make sure that every boy and girl feels safe, feel affirmed, feel appreciated, and never have to worry about to do that. And if I have to walk up and down the aisles of the schools with Joel and Nicole, we'll do that, because no one's going to be bullied in Menomonee Falls.
Could you repeat the whole question again, please?
Okay, sure. How will you address bullying and ensure that every student feels safe and respected in our schools?
I mean, I think that's so important, and I think it goes off of the mental health question. But students, in order to be ready to learn, they need to feel safe, both physically and emotionally in school. And I think one key part of this is ensuring that students develop empathy, resilience, self-awareness, and collaboration. It's also important to understand that we're all different people. We're all our own unique people, and different isn't necessarily bad. Also, learning those skills of how to resolve conflict constructively. How do you support one another? One key thing too is that I see in my work that is important also in school is bystander intervention. Sometimes it's hard for someone to stand up for themselves, but if you have a friend or a peer who can stand up for you, that can really help in those situations. At the same time, we need to make sure our administrators, our teachers have the tools to support that so everyone can feel welcome. So it's really a collaborative approach across the schools. Our school district does a great job of sending resources home as well to inform parents, and I think we should continue that as well.
Becky?
As a school board member, it would be my job to make sure that administrators feel supported in having a no tolerance bullying policy, and making sure that they are able to keep up with things like this anonymous reporting system, and use all of these things to support students. But even beyond that, we need to make sure that we are creating a culture where students are respected, where students are accepted, where students feel safe every day to come to school. And that goes beyond just teaching math and science and reading. It goes into teaching conflict resolution, and going into teaching students about how to interact with others, because those are real world skills that they're going to need after high school as well. And they're skills that they're going to use every single day when interacting with their peers. So having that no tolerance policy is great, and I think our schools do a good job with that. But we need to take a proactive approach as well and create community school cultures that are accepting, and approach situations with curiosity instead of anger. And so making sure that all students feel like they are accepted, welcomed, and feel safe in our schools.
Nicole?
So I would say about 4 years ago, bullying was a very big issue, and it was one of the reasons that I ended up taking my oldest daughter out of school. She was being bullied so bad that she was cutting herself, and she had extreme mental health issues. She was wanting to commit suicide. So I took her out and I homeschooled her, and I'm glad I did, because she is one of the happiest kids I've ever seen. She's doing good in school, and she's thriving now. But as a parent, I would never want to see any other child go through that. So we would need to make sure that we have a safe environment for every child, no matter what. And that comes with consistent enforcement of conduct codes, making sure that every student has the right to learn without fear of harassment. I would support what I would call a zero indifference policy, where every report of bullying is investigated transparently and handled with consistent consequences. We also have to address the digital side of this with cyber safety education because of cyberbullying. When we foster a culture of mutual respect and clear boundaries, we create an environment where students can focus on their primary job, which is to learn.
Thank you. Next question goes first to Joel. How important is integrity, fairness, and character in a school board member, and can you explain that you have those qualities?
Yeah, I mean, those are all important qualities of any person in a leadership role. Integrity, you have to be trusted even when people aren't looking. I mean, that goes. What were the other ones? I'm sorry.
Fairness and character.
Fairness and character. Yeah, fairness. We are in a public school. We have different backgrounds. We have to respect those backgrounds and cultures of all the families that come in. There's different. We're so diverse, and it's good. It's very good that we're a diverse culture, and we need to be making sure that we cater to that and be fair and be balanced and not show biases as a school board member. We work and we support the whole community. So character has to be strong. You know, as a school board member, we make tough decisions. Some people are going to like those decisions. Some people are not going to like those decisions. You know, if we go in a room and ask for feedback on something, we're going to get different answers from everyone. We got to be able to use our character, use our judgment to make those best decisions collectively as a board.
Jefferson, would you like me to repeat it?
No, I'm good this time.
Okay.
So let's balance this in this context. We have 3,785 students. We asked this community for about 33 million of the 59 million. We have about 600 employees, the equivalent of 500 full-time employees. And we have to balance that with the administrators in the classroom, the support staff, the school board, the community at large, and then the state of Wisconsin, because they fund part of our $59 million. We've spent $1 billion educating students in the last 20 years in the school district. When it comes to character, when it comes to integrity, and when it comes to fairness, I think the people of this community have been extremely supportive of this school district. I used to be on staff with the Menomonee Falls School District. My boys benefited from being in the Menomonee Falls School District. I have lived here for 40 years. I have had footprints all over this community for many years without question. Without question. And so when you put those three things together, fairness, character, and integrity, and you look at the greater community and then get down to the street level, I think we're doing just fine in that area personally, as well as anyone up here sitting at this table. You can't go wrong with any of these 6 people when it comes to those 3 areas.
Okay, Emily?
I think integrity, fairness, and character are so critical of any school board member. We've had some great questions about mental health and making sure students belong. And I think as board members, we have to walk the walk of what we expect of every student and administrator in our schools. So I think that's really critical. I personally also think it's really important in order to live those is to listen to all the voices in the community. As Joel noted, as others noted, we're not going to all agree on everything. As much as I would love us all to agree on every single decision, we are a lot of people in Menomonee Falls. We're not going to see eye to eye. But where can we listen to one another, bring voices to the table, and really be collaborative so we can center our decisions focused on students and grounding in that character? I think it's so important that we bring that to the table as a board member. One thing that I have chosen to do as a candidate is I have chosen to not take any donations from any political parties or national groups. My campaign is fully funded by individuals in our community and a few people out of our community who are directly related to me or maybe birthed me who like me. But outside of that, it's only that. And for that, it allows me to really stay focused on our students, listen to our local voices, really free from that outside influence.
Becky?
I hope that character, integrity, and fairness are things that you are demanding from every person that sits on your school board. It's a non-negotiable, and it needs to be something that every school board member has. I think making sure that when you are on the school board, you are listening to every perspective is something that's so important. As many have stated already, it's a diverse community with a lot of diverse opinions and diverse views, and I am not planning to be on the board to make more division. I am planning to be on the board to listen to all perspectives and bring people together. That's what we need in this community right now. We need people to work together and bridge gaps rather than make more division. So I promise to be up there with integrity, to always listen to all voices and make sure all voices are being heard and amplified. I may not agree with every single person, but that's not the point. The point of being on the school board is to make sure that we are serving every single family in this community, no matter where they come from, who they are, or what their views are. We need to be bridging gaps and bringing people together, not creating any more division in this community.
So absolutely, I believe that integrity, fairness, and character must be exemplified in every single school board member. What do those mean? Integrity, that is your personal beliefs, how you look to others, I've made it like my personal thing to never lie. I will not lie for anybody. Fairness, what does fairness look like? That is listening to everybody and making a decision based on a balanced viewpoint. Character, that's that is what we teach our kids. How they grow up, how they love, how they treat other people, be respectful, be kind to everybody. And I also have not taken a single penny from anybody else other than community members. And you'll see it on the finance report.
Okay, Steve.
Thanks. As a tax professional, fairness, integrity, and character come into play all the time. I have to listen to every client that comes through the door and learn what their issues are. I have to explain to them after I've given a comprehensive review of what their income, deductions, eligible credits might be, and tell them what we can and can't do. And within those bounds, to do the most I can do for every client. Now, as a school board, I think our job is to set clear priorities, adopt policy, and hold the district accountable. What I'll bring is steady, disciplined governance. That means asking good questions and expecting clear answers, and making decisions based on evidence, not outside political pressure. Fairness also means valuing everyone involved in our schools, students, parents, teachers, and staff. We don't always agree, but people deserve to be heard, and they deserve a process that's fair and consistently applied. So part of that is making sure our work is visible and understandable. When committees do the board's work, and they do a lot of it, their discussions should come back and be reported in open session so that busy families can reasonably follow what's happening and how decisions are being shaped. So my goal won't be to win arguments. It's to make good decisions for students and families, and to do it in a way that brings the community with us.
Okay, thank you. The next question goes to Jefferson first. How should the board balance parental input with trusting teachers' professional judgment?
Balancing parental input with professional teachers' judgment?
With trusting teachers' professional judgment.
Well, that's a great question. And that model is in place in this school district. I've sat in the committee meetings. I've sat with the superintendent. I've sat with some of the school board members. I've sat and watched a panel of teaching staff. And let me just give you one example. The parents have the input in a constitutional representative republic where they elect people to represent what their majority opinion is. And the one example that I'll share is curriculum. 3 or 4 years ago, it's been described that the Menomonee Falls School District kind of had a wild, wild west curriculum. And so it wasn't vertically aligned. And the proficiency and the achievement and the growth was kind of haphazard and at dangerously low levels. The new superintendent and the current majority of the school board spent $1 million in English language arts, social studies, science, and math. I've listened to the staff members, I've listened to the administrators, I've listened to the school board and the parents in that area, and we now have a very strong curriculum. Can it be improved? Of course. Can it be enhanced? Of course. But at least we have a mechanism in place where the parents, the student, the administrators, the school board, and the staff are working in concert rather than against each other.
Okay, Emily?
Yeah. I think teachers, parents, families, we are all partners in education, and we need to find a smart balance with that. With that, our teachers, our educational professionals, they are professionals in education curriculum, and we really need to leverage their skill set and trust their expertise. At the same time, a parent absolutely has a say in their own child's education. We have lots of opt-out options if there is something in our current curriculum, a book, something like that, that a family is not comfortable with their kid learning. And I really think we have to emphasize that, but those opt-out choices should just be an opt-out for that family. We shouldn't be removing choices that are educator-led from all other families. And I also think when we are choosing curriculum and teachers are piloting materials and recommending curriculum in full without exclusion. We really need to trust their expertise, but still give those venues for parents to opt out with what they're uncomfortable with. But as a school board, it's our responsibility to provide a well-rounded education for all students in our district.
Becky?
Educating students is absolutely a team effort. It's a partnership between parents, district administrators, teachers, building administrators. We all need to be working together to support these students. And so building those lines of communication and that partnership is something that's so essential for every student to succeed. So being sure that we are having open lines of communication, we are being transparent, and not only transparent, but also accessible. So everyone has a right to understand what their student is learning on a day-to-day basis, and trusting those teacher professionals to make sure that that is an appropriate, age-appropriate, and curriculum-appropriate thing for those students to be learning. But having that open line of communication and partnership between the school and the family is what helps our students succeed. Being able to make growth and have our students achieve in the way that we've been seeing requires all of us to be working together and working in tandem. So having these partnerships is something that I definitely want to prioritize and make sure that our curriculum, our policy decisions, and all of that is not only transparent, but also easily accessible to all players involved.
Nicole?
So education is a partnership, not a hierarchy. It's a three-way partnership that involves transparency, communication, and collaboration. Parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives, and they deserve full transparency regarding what is being taught. Simultaneously, we must respect the professional expertise of our state-certified educators. The board's role is to provide clear opt-out pathways for sensitive materials. Transparency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of a healthy school community. The school board has made significant improvements in efforts to improve communication, such as a newsletter, the website being revamped to make it easier for parents to navigate, email addresses of all school board members and teachers available online, and all board and committee meetings are live streamed.
Steve?
Well, parental involvement, it starts with us being a transparent board. Families should be able to see how our decisions are made. They should understand what's being taught and know how to raise questions or concerns. We already have policies that allow parents to review all of our curriculum, and I support keeping those in place and making sure that those processes are clear and accessible. We're also a very diverse community. Parents won't always agree with each other on what's best between families, and that's fine. The board's role is to make sure that every voice is heard and considered and keep the focus on what's best for students overall. If a family chooses to opt out, we will definitely respect that, and we won't also extend that decision to other families, though. We want families to feel informed, respected, and I think we can also keep working on staying connected to parents through organizations, between parents and teachers, through extracurriculars. The robotics team, they're doing great. They're a growing organization, and I love the stuff they're doing to prepare kids for life after school. So when people stay engaged, they're more likely to believe that their schools are doing the best they can, and that's when students benefit.
Joel?
I hate going last because these are all good answers. And it's all true. You know, I don't disagree at all with any of this. Students really achieve more when parents are involved in their education, when parents are actively working with the teachers. That's how we see the growth that we see. And it's important. I know I enjoy going to, and give a shout out to my little one Logan right here, and Joel. Logan's in 6th grade at North. I love going to teacher conferences to see what they're working on, to understand, hey, what are opportunities for growth for Logan? You know, what is he excelling at? This is a partnership between teachers and educators. That's what it is. It's collaboration. And we have great teachers in Menomonee Falls. I have not met one bad teacher in the 12 years I've had kids in the school district. We got to partner with them as parents, and that's how our kids will grow.
Thank you. Emily, you go first on the next question. And I think we have time. I think this is the last question. We'll have time for possibly another one, but you get to go first on this one, Emily. Do you think a student who lives in a less common family structure, single parent, step parent,
Do you want to borrow this one?
no, it did go off. It's off.
Here.
Here. It's dead.
Here,
you can borrow-
It's dead, and my voice will not carry it.
Here, you can use ours.
Okay.
That one, and then
Just, yeah, we can.
Okay. Do you think a student who lives in a less common family structure, a single parent, step parents, same-sex parents, should be allowed to encounter examples of family structures like their own in the school curriculum? Emily?
Absolutely. I love our Menomonee Falls community, and we aren't all the same. We don't all have the same family structure, and all family structures matter. And I also think representation matters. Kids need to see families like theirs in their curriculum. It's important too in history to see people who look like you in your history, in your education. And I think that goes to some of the common threads that we have talked about tonight of it's important for kids to feel safe, feel like they belong. And I also think it's important for students of all background to understand that we aren't all the same and we might be different, and that's not a bad thing. We all bring something really important to the table. We all bring something special to our community. And that's one way of having everyone visible in curriculum, in books, in schools, makes everyone feel welcome and that they belong in our community, which is so important.
Becky? Becky?
All students and families deserve to not only feel accepted, but celebrated in this community. We are a diverse community of all different family structures, all different beliefs, and everyone deserves to have representation and to see themselves in the curriculum that they are learning. For students, feeling that sense of belonging is so important. Students succeed at such higher rates when they feel that they belong in their school community. And if showing that diverse range of family structures is going to make those students feel welcomed, I cannot think of a reason why we would not do that. So having these students feel that their family is not only acceptable, but celebrated and wonderful and makes our community stronger is what we need to be communicating. So creating a school culture where all of those differences are not only accepted but celebrated is a thing that I think is very important for our students and their success, not only academically, but socially as well.
Okay. Nicole?
I absolutely think that they should be able to see that in the curriculum, as long as it's age appropriate, it's educational, and it is accepted by the school board. Because the school board is the ultimate they're the ultimate decision makers on curriculum. So if it is part of the curriculum, it does have to go to the school board, and the school board does have to approve it.
Okay.
I agree with everybody who's spoken so far, that kids should be able to see what their own families look like and their books, library books, curriculum materials. And I think that indeed those materials should be age appropriate. And one thing I just want to touch on that's in the past and hopefully something we can move past is that We have had some issues with book removals, and in my case, I was surprised to be scrolling through the news and see a picture of Menomonee Falls High School there under a headline about dozens of books being removed. So that told me that something is going on, and it's not going in a way that brings our community together. I think that parents absolutely deserve a voice in having the right to review curriculum, raise concerns, and even opt out. And as far as making the decision on whether to remove something in our collection, I think that's where professionals matter. Our teachers and our library and media specialists are trained to select age-appropriate educational materials and follow established processes. When policies are changed or applied inconsistently, it creates confusion. It erodes trust. So we can do better with clear communication, consistent policy, and respect for everyone involved. Because every parent deserves to be heard, and every student deserves to feel seen in their education.
Okay, Joel? Well, that would be easier.
The most important thing here is that students want to come to school. They feel safe. They feel welcomed. They feel that they can go to school without being ridiculed because of how their family is. I come from, sorry, I might be emotional on this. I come from a blended family. My daughter has stepbrother or half brothers. They're not full. From a previous marriage. I know what my daughter went through. Living at home with one parent. It sucked. It's not funny, it sucked. What she had to go through, no kid should have to go through because of what their family is or looks like. It's sick.
What about my kids?
Really?
I'm done answering this question.
Yeah. If that's going to continue,
Okay,
we can
we're,
end this right now.
this,
That's ridiculous.
again, everybody respect each other. That was a small part of this whole worthwhile forum, so let's finish it on a high note. No more interruptions, please. Thank you. Okay, were you finished, Joe?
I'm done with the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Jefferson?
Well, the answer to your question is, of course, it goes without saying, but there's two parts to your question. No one in the Menomonee Falls School District will be discriminated if I get on the school board. That just goes without saying. That's common decency and respect. The second part of your question is this. We have state statutes that we have to follow when it comes to the question that you asked. Every little boy and girl, by the time they get to be 5 or 6 years old, 90% of their brain is developed. We also have in our school district policy 361 and 365. They're here. That would have to go through the process that I've been part of and witnessed if that were to become part of the curriculum. I learned a long time ago that when people say something, believe them. Now, there are people in this community that radically want to change our curriculum. And they can do that in a constitutional representative republic if they follow the protocol. Now, there was a comment about books being removed, plural. That is absolutely untrue. The School Board of Menomonee Falls has statutory plenary power to do what they want to when it comes to curriculum. If you want to see the truth, here is the article. Do we accept all of these families, however they're designated? Of course. But when it bleeds over into curriculum, totally different story.
Okay. We're going to go to closing statements now, and we will have 2 minutes of each for closing remarks. So we will begin with Becky.
The first thing that I want to say in my closing remarks is just thank you to all of you who are here today, because our schools are stronger when we are all involved. So having so many people here that are willing to be involved, want to know what's going on in this race, and are going to be out there and voting on election day is so important. All of your voices matter, and we need to make sure that we are being engaged in this process. So thank you so much for being here. I am running for school board because I believe that I can bring a balanced approach of multiple perspectives to the board and make decisions that are right for all of our students. I want to make sure that we are bringing our community together and not creating further division. One of my main priorities that I have been saying now for a long time is that I want to work with people of differing opinions. I am not here to only serve those who agree with me. I am here to serve all of us and making sure that we are making balanced decisions for everyone and putting students first. As a teacher, I work every day to put students first, and I want to work and do that for this district as well. I bring perspectives not only from a teacher lens, but from a parent lens as well. And from the higher administrative lens. I want to make sure that our district is meeting its mission and vision, that we are a school district of choice for all students, all families, all teachers. I want to work for this district so that we can all feel that this is a school district of choice.
First, I want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters again for hosting this forum, and also to all of the audience members for being here tonight. It's truly heartwarming that you guys will come out and support the community no matter what. There's a lot of passion on all sides of this, and that's what I love about this community. Over the last 21 years as a nurse, you don't find solutions through rhetoric. You find them through data, discipline, and a commitment to the person that's in front of you. As your library board president, I've already put these principles into practice. I've chaired our policy committee and I serve on finance, where we've delivered a balanced budget that respects the taxpayer while enhancing services for our families. I'm not a candidate who hopes to lead. I'm a candidate who's already leading. My platform is built on 3 pillars that reflect our district's big aims: clinical precision in mental health, fierce advocacy for special needs, and fiscal stewardship. I'm a faithful person, a mother, a nurse, and a community leader. These values lead me to believe that every child is a gift and every taxpayer dollar is a trust. I'm not running to fight a culture war. I'm running to ensure that Menomonee Falls remains a school district of choice, one that's academically rigorous, fiscally stable, and parent-centered.
Steve?
I want to thank everyone for coming out. Thank you for facilitating. And I do want to point out that I think that overall we agree on more things than we disagree on. We all want strong academics. We want our kids to feel safe and supported. We want teachers respected and resources used wisely. I think we need to lower the temperature and raise the level of trust. So my approach is simple. Listen carefully, communicate clearly, and keep the focus where it belongs. And consider, do we continue down a more divided path, or do we bring things back to focus, transparency, and trust? I'm proud of the education I got here in these schools, and I want this to be a destination district. I thank you very much. I'd be honored to earn your vote.
Thank you. Joel, after you can get the mic. That doesn't get reduced from your time.
Thank you. All right, thank you everyone for showing up. Thank my wife, my 2 kids for being here, my 2 boys. My daughter wishes she could be here, and I thank you guys for being my rock. I know throughout campaign season, it's not always the best. Brings out the ugly in everyone, both sides of the table. But we as a community, we're better than that. Menomonee Falls is better than that. We should start acting like it. There's hate on both sides of the table. We've all felt it. It shouldn't be that way, okay? You don't like someone? Okay, don't vote for them. Don't make it a political battle that it doesn't need to be. This is school board. All of us up here want to be here because we have a passion for our schools. All of us. We deserve to be treated better than what we've been going through. It's sad. And it's sad we can't even have a forum where we're taking times away from our families to be here and get interrupted. And it's not taken away from us, it's taken away from who wants to hear us. So Menomonee Falls, I thank you for the last 3 years you've given me as serving the board, and I hope for 3 more years. Thank you, guys.
Jefferson?
Thank you, and thank you, the Milwaukee County group that came out to help facilitate this meeting. Thank you, Falls Cable Access. Madam President, thank you for Jackie facilitating this here at the library. Menomonee Falls, and thanks to the rest of the candidates and all those that are here. We actually do like each other and get along pretty well. Well, maybe not Emily, I don't know. All right. I'm old enough to be your dad, be careful. So, real quick, there's a very clear choice with this election. Very clear. And it's going to go one way or it's going to stay mainstream. I happen to want to represent the mainstream from these 3 perspectives. There is a movement afoot to radically change our administrative team. I think our current administrative team, I call it the Miracle of Menomonee Falls, has done an amazing job, and it's only going to get better. Number 2, what an amazing profession to be an educator. We will get a salary schedule. The compression issue will be resolved. The teacher gap will be resolved. We will enhance your benefits at every single level. Without you, we are nothing. So for anyone to suggest differently is being disingenuous at best. Student-teacher ratios, we will fix those, and we will do that through a collaborative effort. And then finally, we are not going to go to the state of Wisconsin begging and begging and begging because we don't have enough money. The miracle of Menomonee Falls, we've got more money than we know what to do with. And we will make sure that we will look inward and locally first, rather than blaming, like some school board members do, the state of Wisconsin. So thank you for coming. Even if you don't vote for me, thank you for coming. Because in Menomonee Falls, as Joel said, and I'll use my words, hate has no home here.
Emily?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, League of Women Voters for planning it. And I want to thank everyone for being here in the room and online. It's quite energizing to see how much people care about our schools. And I know we get very passionate, and passion can come across in a way that maybe doesn't feel welcoming and kind. And I really encourage us to ground all of our decisions in students. That's why we're all here today. That's why all of us are up here. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna need some Kleenex on some of those stories. I had to look down because I was like, oh goodness. But it takes a lot to share those personal stories, and I wanna thank all of the candidates. It's not easy to run a campaign, and we're all here because we care about students, we care about our community. And you know, that's what drove me to run in the first place. Is I want to see every student succeed. I want our teachers to have that respect, the support. They're the heart of our schools, and when teachers feel respected, when they feel like they have the support, they're going to show up. They show up every day already, but they're going to be able to help bring our students to that next level. And as a parent, volunteer, and an HR professional, I know how important it is to bring voices together. Everyone's voice truly matters, and everyone's vote matters. Whoever you vote for, your vote matters, and local elections are so important. They're what shape our community, and I encourage you all to vote. You can start, next Tuesday, bright and early if you want. But I just want to thank everyone for being here and being engaged in our schools. It's so, so important.
Thank you. The League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County reminds you that our democracy depends on citizen involvement, which is definitely... Oh, dear.
This one over, if that one's dead too.
No, it's not dead.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it's dead battery.
Okay.
Never mind.
Okay. It's last.
Okay.
Battery with an X
All right, I'm going to be very short, because I didn't think I could wear out so many microphones. But the League of Women Voters of Milwaukee County reminds you that our democracy depends on citizen involvement, which we definitely have here. And I really appreciate all of you taking the time to come and listen to the forum. And I certainly appreciate the candidates for all the efforts they're putting in. It's a hard job running for school board and being on school board. So on behalf of the engaged citizens of Menomonee Falls and the League of Women Voters, thank you to Falls Cable Access for their services, and thank you to all our candidates for running for political office, and to all of you for participating in this forum. And thanks everyone for attending, and vote. Thank you.